All right, so we've all gotten pretty used to AI that can chat with us, right? You know, the kind that writes emails, generates images, that sort of thing. But it turns out that's just scratching the surface. Today, we're going to dive into the next big leap forward, AI that doesn't just talk, but actually acts. Think about it. Your AI chatbot is incredibly smart. It can write a perfect email or even whip up a story for you. But what happens if you ask it to, say, check your calendar and actually schedule a meeting? It just can't. And that right there highlights a huge limitation of the AI we use every day. It's great at generating stuff, but it can't really do stuff. And this is the core shift we're seeing right now. We're moving away from what you'd call reactive AI, a chatbot that just waits for your command and then stops, and we're moving toward proactive AI. This new breed of AI is designed to take a goal you give it, figure out a series of actions, learn from what happens, and just keep trying until the job is done. To really wrap our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 3 simple levels, building on concepts you probably already know. So let's start at level 1, the system that does all the thinking. This, of course, is the large language model, or LLM. It's the brain behind tools like ChatGPT. And at its heart, you can think of it as a ridiculously good pattern matching machine. It's been fed mountains of data from the internet, so when you give it a prompt, it's just making a very educated guess about what word or what pixel should come next. But like we said, LLMs on their own have 2 big problems. First, they're totally passive. They just sit there and wait for you to tell them what to do. And second, their knowledge is stuck in the past. They have no clue what's on your personal calendar right now or what's in your company's private database, because that stuff wasn't in their training data. Okay, so what happens when we start to fix those limitations? Well, that gets us to level 2, the follower. This is where we create something called an AI workflow. Now, in an AI workflow, a human is still calling all the shots. We define a really rigid step-by-step path for the AI to follow. We give the LLM some tools, maybe access to a calendar API or a weather app, and then we tell it, first, do this, then do that. A lot of the AI tools we use today are actually built this way. But here's the catch. A human is still the one doing all the real thinking. The AI is just following orders. So if the result isn't quite right, let's say it drafts a social media post that's just not very good, a person has to jump back in, tweak the prompts, change the steps, and run the whole thing all over again. The hard work of improving and iterating, that's all on you. And that brings us to the absolute game changer. Level 3, the doer. This is where the AI becomes truly autonomous. And believe me, this is where things get really, really interesting. This quote just nails it. The single biggest leap is when the human decision maker is taken out of the loop and replaced by the LLM itself. The AI stops being a follower and starts being the one in charge of the strategy. And it manages this with an incredible autonomous loop. First, it reasons. It creates a plan to hit a goal. Then it acts on that plan using its tools. It observes the results, and this is the magic part, it iterates. It actually looks at its own work, critiques it, figures out what went wrong, and then refines the plan and tries again. It keeps doing this over and over until the goal is met. This whole cycle is often called the REACT framework, for reason and act. So let's put it all together. What is an AI agent? It's a system that uses a large language model as its brain to go after a goal all by itself. It creates a plan, uses tools to execute it, and improves its own work along the way, with basically no handholding from a person. Okay, that's the what. But why is this such a big deal? Why should you care? Let's get into the real-world impact. I mean, just imagine a personal shopping agent that doesn't just find a product for you, but tracks its price, handles the entire checkout, and deals with shipping, only bothering you if it absolutely has to. Or an AI that can sift through hours of security footage to find and tag every single clip that has a skier in it. Or how about a content agent that can take a news article, draft a social media post, critique its own writing, and then refine it until it's perfect? These are the kinds of complex, multi-step jobs that agents can finally take on. So look, this is way more than just a little convenience. It's a fundamental shift that lets AI tackle messy, complicated problems that were just impossible for it before. It's the difference between asking your assistant to write a memo versus asking them to plan the entire company conference. Now, if you're a product manager or a developer, anyone thinking about building one of these things, this autonomy probably creates a huge new challenge. How on earth do you manage something that thinks for itself? Right? This is the million-dollar question. When you build an agent that can reason and change its own plan on the fly, how do you stop it from going off the rails? How do you even know if it's doing a good job, let alone figure out how to make it better? The answer is a critical skill called Evals, which is short for evaluations. Think of Evals as a methodical, almost scientific process for analyzing where your AI is messing up so you can measure, understand, and ultimately improve its performance. See, the old way was basically just doing vibe checks. You'd kind of use the product and see if it felt right. But that's a total disaster with an autonomous agent. A vibe check isn't going to tell you your shopping agent is secretly overspending your budget by 5% every once in a while. Evals change all that. Instead of guessing, you're using real data. You create clear metrics, you can scale your testing, and you can track your progress with actual confidence. And honestly, this is why everybody who's anybody in AI, from OpenAI to Anthropic, agrees on this one thing. If you're building products in this new era, learning how to run effective evals is probably the single most important new skill you can possibly have. It's what turns a powerful but unpredictable agent into a reliable product you can actually trust. So we've gone from an AI that reacts to an AI that acts. We're building systems that can actually chase after goals all on their own. And that leaves us with a pretty wild final thought. As these agents get smarter and more capable, what's the first big, complicated goal that you would actually trust one with?